Are you guys ready for your headliner? This guy is brilliant. He's a really good friend of mine. I love him to death. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Very talented, the one, the only, Topher Riddle, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey everybody! Thanks for coming. Last night I did a show with Nick, and I drank a beer that I had not tried yet. And he was like, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. You want to try it? You want to take a sip? And he's like, no, I'm good. Yeah, come on, man, take a sip. Just take a sip. He's like, no, I'm good. And I was like, man, Nick's being a real jerk about not wanting to drink after me. And then tonight, he was like, I'm 16 weeks sober. So oops. Sorry, buddy. I'm gonna do, thanks for coming, you guys. I'm gonna do some we're going on tour in a month. So tonight I'm kind of doing like a test run of the set that I'm gonna do when we go around the Southeast. So if you've heard this stuff before, sorry, but here it comes. Actually, before I get started, I was watching a marathon of Full House, as you do, and I love those old 90s sitcom credits, because it's always like somebody like throwing a football, and then they notice like the camera's looking at them, and they look at the camera and just do like a little smile, and their name comes across it. And I always wanted to do that, so I'm going to do that. So imagine Full House, Step by Step, Perfect Strangers, whatever your time period is. And I'm going to be reading the newspaper, and then I'm going to notice. And then I'm going to notice the camera, which is you guys, and then I'm going to do my little smile at the camera, and oh, I just noticed the camera face. Oh no. And then my name will come across the screen, and it'll say Topher Riddle. You'll have to imagine that part, but here it goes. A lot of work for that stupid bit. Yeah, my name is Topher. Mr. Riddle, if you're nasty. I don't know if anybody is old enough to know that. My comedy friends have started to call me Tofeezy. Like, that's the nickname that I've gotten lately, is Tofeezy. So if after the show any of you would like to give Tofeezy a squeezy, I'd be happy to help. I'm a hugger, is what I'm saying. I will hug you after the show. I've had a song stuck in my head all day long, and it's because last weekend I was at a party at my friend's house, and at the end of the night we all kind of passed out all over the floor, and over on the couch I could hear a couple having sex, and because I kept hearing this girl say, "Oh, Mickey, oh, Mickey," and I was just like, oh, please let her next words be, "You're so fine." You're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. They weren't. I believe her next words were, "Ow, you're on my hair." I made the mistake of going grocery shopping the other day while I was really hungry, and I bought a party-size bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, And even though I was the only person who attended that party, that party was over pretty quick. And then I was thinking about how a friend of mine told me, he's like, you know what those glasses, you know what you kind of look like? You kind of look like Fat Superman. And I was like, I do kind of look like Fat Superman. And then I started thinking about the kind of emergencies that Fat Superman would be called in to help with. Like, oh no, there's too much ice cream on board this cruise ship, it's gonna sink under the weight. Yeah, don't you worry about that, Fat Superman's Oh no, there's a mutant cauliflower attacking the city. Ooh, no. I don't really do veggies. You're gonna want to call my friend Vegan Superman. He looks a lot like regular Superman, but he keeps his thick frame glasses on and adds a fedora. So, and then I fly in and people are like, "Oh look, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a young John Goodman." What's that? The nacho cheese factory exploded. There's nacho cheese all over the streets. Yeah, Fat Superman's got this. Don't you worry about it. Found out recently, realized that my mom is allergic to chocolate. And I say that because I've been trying to think of the nicest possible way to call her a racist. But she is that. She is a racist. She doesn't think she's a racist. Like, she'll start a sentence with, I'm not a racist, but. And then finish it with something racist. Like, I'm not a racist, but Asians give me the creeps. Or, I'm not a racist, but if it ain't white, it ain't right. I swear she's not a racist, but an awful lot of her tweets end with hashtag white power. So. But it's funny because, like, she raised me, she raised my sister. We didn't turn out to be racist. Well, I don't think my sister could possibly be racist, and I say that because a few weeks ago we ordered a pizza and we got green peppers on it. And my sister was like, why do they call these green peppers if they're not green? And that's when we realized that my sister is colorblind. And so we had to put her down. And I couldn't possibly be racist because I have a black friend. So, that's a joke. I don't have a black friend. I don't have just one black friend. I have three. I have three black friends, but I can't tell them apart. It's because they're triplets, you guys, not because I'm racist. No, I'm so afraid of anybody thinking that I'm a racist that I once spent an hour in an art supply store because the cashier was black and I felt uncomfortable asking her where the colored pencils were. I work in a store like that lady from that previous joke. I work in a gift shop at Adventure, the children's museum across the bridge. And right now it's kind of slow, like all the kids are back in school, so there's not a lot of business. And a friend of mine was like, isn't it really boring just hanging out in the gift shop with nothing to do? And I was like, no, because I'll just daydream. Like I get paid to daydream. Like the other day I was just standing there thinking, wouldn't it be cool if Liam Neeson had a daughter in real life, and then B, he brought her to the Children's Museum, and then C, they got separated so that she had to come to us for help finding her dad, and then D, we had to get on the loudspeaker and say, Liam Neeson, we have your daughter. And then E, he kills all of us. with his particular set of skills. We sell a lot of stuff in the museum, like souvenirs with like names on them, like cups and placemats and keychains. You can get you can get your name on those and you can find your name. Problem is, there are a lot of people who come in and they complain because they can't find their kid's name on a cup. But I feel like there are certain names that if you name your kid that, you forfeit the right to complain if you can't find that name. Like, we had a lady come in and she was like, I can never find my kid's name on a cup. I was like, well, what's your kid's name? I'll check and see if we have it. And she goes, Quimenzela? Quimenzela? You know what, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that we don't have that. But you know what? Spell it for me. I will type it into the computer and I'll tell you if we have it. Quimenzilla. Okay, so the traditional spelling. We did not have that. I had a lady come in and she was like, hey, can I talk to you about Jesus? I was like, I think we both know that no matter what I say to you right now, you're going to tell me about Jesus. So, let's just do this. And she did. She proceeded to tell me all about Jesus. And I started thinking, the next time that this happens, I'm going to pretend like I think they're talking about a mutual friend of ours. So that the next time somebody comes up and they're like, hey, can I talk to you about Jesus? I'm going to go, yeah, what's that old rascal up to these days? You know, I heard he almost lost his job because he didn't show up for a while. Like, he just disappeared for 3 days and then showed up like nothing had happened. Come on, Jesus, what are you doing? Classic Jesus. The best part about that lady was that while she was telling me about Jesus, I look over her shoulder and her daughter is picking up a handful of pencils with our museum logo on them and putting them in her pocket while she's looking at me. And I was like, I didn't even report her because I was so impressed by the balls on this little girl that she picks up a handful of pencils and puts them in her pocket, all while maintaining eye contact, as if to say, your move, douche. I was waiting for the elevator. We have a very slow elevator at Adventure. And I pushed the button and I was waiting for the elevator to get there. And while I was waiting, just absent-mindedly, I was just sort of clapping my hands, just standing there, just doing this. And next to me in a stroller was a tiny, tiny girl looking up at me, and she was clapping. And her mom looks down at her and goes, oh, are you clapping because he's clapping? I think she's clapping because you're clapping. And without thinking about it, the first thing that I blurted out was, well, sometimes the clap is contagious. So I work with kids every day, but I'm not ready to have any. So when my best friend was like, hey, if anything happens to me or my wife, I would like you to take care of my kids. And I was just like, oh, what do I say to that? Like, oh, you want to give me the most important thing in the world to you? No, thanks. I'm good. That friend, we almost rented a house together in this really crappy neighborhood. And my friend was really excited about this house. He's like, isn't this house amazing? And I was like, yeah. And I like that the rent is really low. You know, that way we can afford to keep rebuying things every time we get robbed in this neighborhood. The place where I live now isn't much better. From outside my apartment the other day, I heard my neighbor talking to his friends, and his friends were like, hey, do any of your neighbors have anything cool that we can steal? Oh, that's not good. So then I was leaving my apartment to go spend the weekend in Rock Hill with my friend, walk out of my apartment with my suitcase, and I see that neighbor standing there, and I'm like, oh no, he sees me with my suitcase, he's gonna know I'm gonna be gone for a few days, he's gonna rob me. I have to think fast. So I put my suitcase down and I turn around to the door to start locking it. And I think, oh, I'll think out loud to trick him. So as I'm locking the door, I was like, off to work. Hopefully today's the day that I finally make enough money to buy some cool things. Like a TV and a computer and a Sony PlayStation, all of which are things that I do not currently own. Yes, sir. Anybody who breaks into my apartment to rob me, well, that would be a huge waste of their time. And then I turned around and he wasn't even there anymore. He was gone. And so was my suitcase. But I live alone now, which I like. I feel like I'm like a certain age where I don't really want to have roommates anymore. Like I feel like I'm well into my 30s now that I'm 30, and I've noticed a difference between the kind of women that I was attracted to in my 20s versus my 30s. Like when I was in my 20s and I'd meet a woman in her 20s, it was kind of like, oh, you smell like Britney Spears perfume, and the foolish notion that you've got everything figured out, and it is intoxicating. And now that I'm in my 30s and I meet a woman in her 30s, it's more like, oh, you smell like responsibility and good credit. Oh, what's that? Your car's completely paid for? Oh my God, that's so hot. Oh. Tell me again in your sexiest voice about your retirement plan. Yeah, like I'm kind of a quiet, shy, reserved guy off stage. Like that's kind of my thing until you get to know me. Just shy. It's kind of like a phase that I was going through for like 30 years. And like I recently found my letter jacket from high school in my closet, and I lettered in band and virginity. Turns out the trombone is a pretty good weapon to use if you want to protect your virginity. And then I got to college and things started to heat up a little bit, and I met a girl and it was going really well. And then the night came and I was like, oh, we're gonna share our first time with each other. I'm so excited. I put on some music and lit some candles, and I was like, I'm so excited that we get to share our first time with each other. And she just laughed and laughed. Like, not only, it wasn't her first time, it wasn't even her first time that day. And then after I got out of college, I met a lovely girl. She worked at the DMV. And she had almost all of her teeth, and almost all of her hair, and almost all of her eyes. It's so stupid. But yeah, there's more to it, so hold on. And normally she was okay with the fact that she had to wear an eye patch. But then like one time we were in bed and just for fun I was like, "Arr, walk the plank." And she did not like that at all. So I was like, to make this up to her, tomorrow I need to go out and I need to buy her a present. Bit of advice, if you're dating a woman who is a little self-conscious because she looks like a pirate, maybe buying her a parrot is not the best thing to do. But that one, that relationship ended for multiple reasons. Mostly because she's fictional and only existed for the purpose of that one joke. I'm much more interested in like real women, like actually meeting real women that actually exist. The problem is like it's not really my style to just walk up to a woman and start talking to her. Like my style is more like, oh, hey, that girl over there is really attractive. I sure hope she checks the missed connection section on Craigslist. Which is crazy, because like I've done really cool things that I feel like they would be impressive if people knew them. Like I was a rodeo clown, and I was a stuntman. These are true. Like I was a stuntman at an amusement park. I jumped off of buildings every day for like a live audience. But it just feels weird to walk up to a woman and just tell her that in the first conversation. It feels like I'm bragging. So then I have to figure out ways to work that information into my comedy act. And mission accomplished. But yeah, but sometimes like if I meet someone I really like and I'm a little more, or if I've had some drinks and I have a little bit more confidence in me. I can be pretty persistent. Like, there have been times when I won't stop asking a girl out until she says that magical phrase that I love to hear, which is, fine. But one night, I was hitting on a girl, and she really was just not into it. Turns out, like I was barking up the wrong tree. Like I was barking up a lesbian tree. And so I was trying to convince her that I'm barely a man. But she really stuck to her guns on the whole lesbian thing. And it made me wonder, I was like, do lesbians just know? Like, are they able to sense each other like the Immortals in the Highlander movies? Like, does a lesbian walk down the street? This is how they walk, right? They just walk down the street, and then they stop and go, oh, there's another lesbian nearby. And then they do whatever their version of fighting each other with blades would be. Which I guess would be scissoring, I guess? Like, I thought about not doing that one. Probably shouldn't have. Whatever. That's right, I said scissoring. Here we go. I was dating a girl who was bisexual while we were dating. I never got to experience any of the potential benefits of that. But she was bisexual while we were going out, and then as soon as we broke up, she went full-on lady gay. And I was like, oh, I have to try to win her back. I know, I'll become a lesbian, because I wasn't thinking clearly at the time. So I went online, started doing some research. Like I said, I went online, started watching a lot of what I like to call educational films. I passed the written exam with flying colors, but I failed the physical exam because I had too many penises. I had one too many penises, and so 6 weeks at the academy for nothing. The last time that I did a feature show, after the show, this never happens, but last time after the show, I had 3 women all come up to me and talk to me, and they were all interested in me. And so I was very excited. And I was like, oh man, I have 3 women to pick from. This is kind of like a choose your own adventure book. Any of you remember choose your own adventure books? Like those were those books that I would always read when I had to do a book report. Because I could read 4 pages in until my character died, and I'd be like, that's the end of the book. And I'd write a paragraph, and my teacher would be like, you need to read more of the book. And I was like, that's the end of the book. And she was like, it's an Indiana Jones book. You know very well that he would not have picked up that snake and died. He hates snakes. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. He did. I know about it because I read about it at the end of that book. But that night, I had 3 women interested in me, and it reminded me of a Choose Your Own Adventure book, so I actually wrote one. I wrote a Choose Your Own Adventure book based on that night. Here it goes. Well done. Your performance was so good you've attracted the attention of 3 different women, and they all want to talk to you after the show. Which one do you want to talk to? Girl A, page 129, B, 37, C, 12. I'm gonna go with girl A. I'm gonna go with girl A, page 129. Girl A tells you that you're cute and she'd like to go out with you. Okay, alright. She asks you to buy her a drink. Buy her a drink, page 10. Don't buy her a drink, page 6. You know what? I'm gonna buy her a drink. I'm gonna buy her a drink, page 10. You two are really hitting it off. Suddenly, a couple of your friends approach and start hitting on her like you're not even there. They invite her to go outside with them to smoke. Unfortunately for you, it's been 10 minutes since you bought her a drink, and she seems to have lost interest when the booze is not forthcoming. Unfortunately for you, in a previous book, you chose a low-paying job and can't afford to buy her a lot of drinks. She goes outside to smoke, and you don't see much of her for the rest of the night. Don't worry, you can still try with girls B and C. Okay. Girl B, page 76, C, page 90. I'm gonna go girl B. She had glasses on, I like that. So, girl B started talking to another guy when you went off to talk to girl A. She's interested in him now. Well, shit. Maybe if you picked her first, things might have turned out differently, but this time you've blown it with girl B. To try to find girl C, page 46. Or to just give up, go home alone, put on some Coldplay, and, well, you know, page 99. I'm gonna try to find girl C, so page 46. Good news, girl C is still in the bar, and she's still interested. After a brief conversation, she invites you back to her place. This is when you realize you don't have any condoms. What do you do? Politely decline her invitation, but express an interest in seeing her again in the future, page 166. Or, just go for it. Go home with her and suddenly become just religious enough to pray for a couple of condoms to magically materialize in the next 20 minutes. Page 1, yeah, I'm doing that one. You get back to her apartment, and it's not long before you start making out on the couch. Okay, I know. You still don't have a condom, and now you're definitely an atheist because prayer didn't work. This is when girl C passes out right in the middle of making out. Yeah, this really happened, just so you know. Do you leave her alone and let her sleep while you watch Moulin Rouge on her big screen TV? Page 80. Or, do you leave her alone and let her sleep while you watch Moulin Rouge on her big screen TV? Because those are the only 2 options in my book. Page 34. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna let her sleep and not be creepy. Creepier. She wakes up around the time that Nicole Kidman... who here has not seen Moulin Rouge? Okay, so I don't want to spoil it for you. So, she wakes up around the time that Nicole Kidman blanks, and she says, "Oh, did I miss the part when Nicole Kidman dies?" Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She gets up from the couch and walks into the hallway by the front door. She takes off her pants so that she's now naked from the waist down. Suddenly, you're very happy that you found a condom in the bathroom while she was asleep. She then squats and pees on the tile floor, and you can't help but wonder why she walked 10 feet past the bathroom in order to pee on the floor. I mean, she knows where the bathroom is because it's her apartment, and she showed you where it is when you first arrived. Now that you've watched her pee on the floor, you have a decision to make. Probably the most important decision of the night. What are you thinking? Abort mission, page 140, or it's been a while, beggars choosers, yada yada yada. Let's try to keep an open mind, page 119. I'm gonna go open mind. She comes back to the couch and immediately passes out again. In the morning, she wakes up and blames the puddle on the dog. The end. That all really happened. Hopefully this feature show won't disappoint. No, the funny is like girl A, I actually did talk to her for longer. And we were really hitting it off, it was going really well. And then about 15 minutes into the conversation, this guy walks by, this really attractive guy, and she was just like, oh, whoa, that guy's really hot, I'm gonna go talk to him. I was like, what? We were doing so well. And she just looks me in the eye and goes, mood swings are my jam, son! And which is crazy. Like she chose poorly because, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm pretty great. And I'm pretty adorable. And if money is your thing, like ladies, if you like a guy with money, I have dozens of dollars in my bank account. Oh, and then girl B, I did talk to her more. And we talked about music, and I asked her what her favorite band was. And she was like, oh, my favorite band is Arcade Fire. I was like, oh, whoa. Don't even say Arcade Fire to me. That's how my parents died. And she was like, oh my God, what? I'm so sorry, your parents died in an arcade fire? And I was like, what? No, the band murdered my parents. I'd like to find a lady who has similar interests. I'm a big movie guy. Anybody here big movie fan? Big movie buff? Cool. See me after the show. Give Joe Feezy a squeezy. But I love movies. Like I grew up watching movies. My family, we went to the movies all the time, and I realized like a lot of my life lessons I took from watching movies. My dad didn't care. He would let me watch any movie, no matter the rating. And I would see, for the longest time as a kid, I thought if you're on drugs, you have to wear a belt around your arm to let everybody know that you're on drugs. Because every time I saw a movie with a drug addict, they always had a belt wrapped around their arm. And I always thought it was part of some like junky uniform. Like, oh, I guess you gotta wear a belt around your arm if you're on drugs. And then one day I was at the store with my dad, I was a kid, and his friend shows up and he's acting weird and sniffling. And after he left, I was like, Dad, what was up with that guy? He's acting weird. And my dad was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, he's on drugs. And I was like, oh, Dad. You stupid man. That guy's clearly not on drugs, because if he was on drugs, he'd have a belt wrapped around his arm to let all of us know that he's on drugs. And I remember one time in elementary school, my friend showed up, and he was like, yeah, this weekend my dad got so mad he got the belt out. And I was just like, oh my God, what did you do that was so bad that you drove your father to drugs? And he was like, you see this? This is what you get in my house when you spill paint in the garage. That didn't happen. That's from the Breakfast Club. But I dated a girl who, like I said, we watched movies all the time when I was growing up. I dated a girl who, like, they rarely went to the movies. She hasn't seen that many, and the ones that she has seen, she's terrible at describing them. So, on our first date, I asked her her favorite movie, because I figured everybody's got a favorite movie. And she was like, oh, I don't remember the name of it, but it's about these three best friends, and they live on an island, and they go fishing together. And I had no idea what movie she was talking about. And then like a week later, we're at my apartment, and I'm flipping through channels, and she goes, oh, wait, go back, that was that movie, that was what I was talking about. So I go back to that channel, and I was like, So when you said it was a movie about three best friends who live on an island and go fishing together, Jaws? Jaws? Like, why didn't you just say shark? I'm pretty sure if you had just said the word shark, the first movie I would have guessed was Jaws. And she goes, I forgot that it had a shark in it. So it's nice that, like now, like doing these shows here, I live like a mile away, so it's great. If I should happen to meet somebody, it's a quick trip to my place. But I used to live way out in Pelion, South Carolina. Does anybody know where that is? It's like if you go down to the end of this street and you turn right and you just drive into the abyss for like 25 minutes, you'll get to Pelion. And sometimes I would get a girl to come back home with me, even when I lived way out there in the middle of nowhere. And we would start the long drive out there, and it was always fun to watch her face as we were driving, and try to pinpoint the exact moment where she starts to think, oh, I'm never going to see my friends and family again. And I'd see that look on her face and I'd panic and try to calm her down, so I'd be like, relax, I'm not going to murder you. Which I realize now is like one of the worst things that I could possibly say. Like, that's only slightly better than if I'd said, that's right, I'm going to murder you. Now please be quiet while I listen to this Tears for Fears song to mentally prepare myself for what I'm about to do. That's it for me, everybody.